Hello, friends, and welcome back to Stories About Entitled People. Imagine you change the channel and you hear, "Watch the wild Karen in its natural habitat as it demands to speak to the manager." Yeah, that's what our first story's about. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Entitled moron is entitled. Today, I met a Karen in the wild for the first time. So this happened just a couple hours ago during my shift at a small gas station. Basically, we have a system in place for the gas pumps that make a ding noise constantly when someone picks up the nozzle but hasn't paid with either cash inside or a card out there. The thing was dinging for a while, so I finally decided I'd be the one to go and talk to the lady since no one else was going to do anything about it. Usually, we just let people stand there until they finally decide to pay for the gas, but I decided to be nice. As soon as I stepped out the door and saw this woman for real, I knew I made a mistake, just because her body language screamed she was a bee. So even though I'm already having a crap week from severe depression, I continue over with my feeling of dread to her. She had a kid in the car, but he plays no role in this, thankfully. I get to her and say word for word, "Ma'am, you have to come inside to prepay or use your card." She turns and then literally gestures with both hands in a very exaggerated way. "Oh, well, there aren't any signs here saying I have to prepay. I don't see any signs here at all. There really should be a sign. Every other gas station I've been to has a sign." She smiled as she said this, but her tone and still body language screamed to me she was really saying, "I'm the customer, so I'm right. Agree with me or else." In my head, I'm just thinking, what gas station have you ever gone to where you get the gas first and then pay? But I say I can't do anything about that other than mention it to someone. She says, "Yeah, go ahead and do that. Talk to one of your supervisors about it." I turn to head inside and say, "Sure, I'll do that." Here's where she got really bitchy. Apparently, I wasn't thrilled enough to comply with her bullcrap complaint, even though I was complying and was still using a light tone for her liking. She then snaps at me, "Well, you don't have to get snippy about it. What's your name?" I turn back and instinctively give out the palms out at my sides hand gesture of "what the F" as I say, "I wasn't. I just said I'd do that." At least she calms down, thinking she'd won when it was never a battle to begin with. She goes inside with me, prepays, and then complains to the owner who was there about how there should be signs saying to come inside to prepay before you get gas if you're paying with gas. She just does the smile and nod thing and she leaves. After she was gone, he just said, "No one in their right mind needs a sign to know you have to pay for your gas before getting it," and he walks away, after agreeing with me that she was a bee and a moron. And our second story. Yeah, I get a staff discount. I'm staff. So this was last week. I'm at work, it's a Sunday. I'm at the end of my shift, I'm tired, and I want to go home. I've just clocked out and I'm at the till with some fish treatment for a mate and some frozen food for my snake. As usual, the cashier gives me my staff discount. We make conversation, but as there's someone else that wants to pay, I start to leave. That's when I hear this. Lady to cashier. "I want a discount." Cashier, "I can't just give you a discount, I'm afraid." I turn around at this point because I know cashier is terrible with confrontation. Even me with my anxiety is better at arguing, and I have a feeling a manager may be needed, so it's best I stick around. Lady, "Why not? She got one," pointing at me. The cashier calmly explains that I work here, so I'm entitled to a staff discount. Lady, "She doesn't work here. I'm in here all the time, and I've never seen her before." I go over to her and unzip my jacket so she can see my work polo underneath. The company name is clearly on it, and I have work keys on my lanyard around my neck with the company logo on it. Me, "Cashier is right. I do work here." Lady, "No, you don't." She throws a dirty look in the cashier's direction. "You two are friends, aren't you? She's giving you stuff cheaper because you're friends. I'll have you fired for this. I deserve a discount." The cashier looks on the verge of tears. Me, "You can either pay for your items and leave with them or leave without them. It's your call." Lady, "I deserve a discount." I end up going to get the manager from upstairs, and between us, the cashier, and two more staff members, we managed to get this woman to just pay for her stuff, full price, and go. I go home, get my rats in the freezer before they defrost, all is well. but that's not the end of it. The same lady came back in today, while I was on tills. She comes straight up to my till with a bunch of items and declares she usually gets a discount. I recognize her, and I've seen this scam before, though never from someone as brazen as this. Me. Oh, really? I've never seen you in here before. The lady points to a colleague. This colleague happens to be one of the ones who witnessed the ordeal last week. Lady, ask him. He knows who I am. Colleague. Oh, yeah, to me. She's the woman last week that demanded we give her a discount because she didn't believe that you worked here. The woman looks mad. If this were a cartoon, there'd be smoke coming out of her ears. Me. That'll be total. I don't remember it. It was pretty decent, though. I believe she was buying a tank and setup, so well over 500 quid probably. Lady. And my discount? Me. I can't give you one, I'm afraid. Lady. You're new. I always get a discount. Me. I've been here over 2 years, actually. Lady. Well, I've never seen you before. Me. Really? Because that's what you said last week. That'll be total. The lady huffs, throws an air stone at me. Not sure if it was on purpose, but it hit me in the face. It's gonna bruise. I'm more annoyed that my colleague and I ended up having to reshelve all the stuff she left on my desk. Fish tanks are heavy. Oh, and the best part, same colleague sent me a screenshot of a Google review this afternoon. That very woman had left a review saying we ruined her son's birthday because we wouldn't serve her, called us rude and all the usual crap. Manager replied and chewed her out with the truth. What a lad. And our next story. A tale of a wrecked car. So I had this wrecked car. My wife crashed it into something. It turned out to be not repairable for less than replacement cost, and it was sitting in my driveway gathering dust. I was planning to give it to a charity or the like for a tax deduction. I mentioned this to a coworker, and a bit later she asked me if she could have the car. Honestly, this was no problem. I told her that I'd been planning to donate it, but we could probably just give it to her. At most, we might want her to pay what we would have made off the donation, very little. But wrecked car. So I asked her why she wanted it, because the car was not safe to drive. Turned out she was involved in a parking dispute with her neighbors, so she wanted to park it on the street as sort of a blockade. I noted that this wouldn't work as it was obviously a wrecked car, couldn't be registered or insured as it was trashed, and so parking it on the street would get a massive ticket. The ticket for that here is upwards of $3,000. She said that wouldn't be a problem because no one would notice it there. I point out she's trying to block her neighbors. They definitely notice and have every reason to want to get the thing ticketed or towed. So she suggests I give it to her without a bill of sale. That way the police wouldn't know it was her to give her the ticket. I point out that this would mean the ticket would go to me instead. She tells me that if I got the ticket, I could just tell the police that I'd sold it to some guy. We're both in a line of work where lying to the police would have way bigger consequences than just the usual being barred from working in our field would be an expected result. I told her no, that wasn't happening. I'd be happy to give her the car for free with a bill of sale, but otherwise no deal. Not only was she no longer interested, but she kicked off harassing me at work until eventually she was fired. So in summary, not only did she want the, admittedly, wrecked car for free, but she also wanted me to eat the $3,000 ticket for her scheme to fight with her neighbors and to lie to the police and risk my career for her. When I said no, she raged out and made my life miserable for a few months until eventually she took it far enough to get fired. I was so glad when the story ended at you saying no to the lies. Good for you that you're honest and you wanted to help, but only to a reasonable level. And our last story. Entitled mother claims that she has connections to my dad. So this happened a few months before the pandemic. Cast. Me is me. Karen is entitled mother. EK is entitled kid. So I used to work at a local shop owned by my father, and I used to help out sometimes. The business was usually busy, but not crowded in the shop. I've never had any customer come on with such a Karen ego as this woman. Entitled kid was being dragged behind Karen, clearly not wanting to be here. The conversation went as follows. Karen, excuse me? Me, yes ma'am? Karen, my child is dehydrated and in terrible pain. This clearly was not the case as the child looked fine and not pale at all. Me, okay ma'am, just find a drink and come and bring it to the counter and I can scan it right away. Entitled kid, Mom, I'm thirsty. Karen, don't worry, darling. I'll get you something in a minute. They walked off and came back with a Pepsi and a water. EM placed the drinks on the counter and said to me, "As usual, I expect these drinks to be free." Me: "Excuse me, ma'am, but why would that be? I'm not familiar with my father's discounts." Karen: "I'm married to the owner of this shop, of course." Which she clearly wasn't, because my dad has a wife. Me: "Ma'am, that's wrong. You're not married to the owner of this shop." Karen: "Of course I am. How would you know, you little crap?" Me: "Ma'am, I am the son of the shop's owner. I have a mother, and that mother is not you." Karen looks shocked and then attempts to steal the drinks from the shop. Luckily, we have a security officer on the door managing people coming in, and he stopped Karen in her tracks. He called the police, and she was arrested, and the child was safely delivered to the father. I'm just glad I'm not the him. The kid was a nightmare. I love that people actually try to pull this off. Do they really think the cashier won't check this? Hilarious. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.